Hello, and welcome to this nutrition lesson about the grain group. And my name is Marlene Beachy. In the previous lessons, we've talked about how there are 5 food groups, and we've covered fruits and vegetables and reading labels. And today we're going to move into looking at grains. But once again, remember, even though we're covering individual groups, we need to eat a wide variety of foods every day from every food group in moderation, focusing on vegetables and whole plant foods. Each food group gives us different nutrients. And again, eat the rainbow. Eat as wide a variety of colors and forms of the food as you can. And with the grain group, there are 2 basic categories of foods in the grain group, and one is whole grain and the other is refined. And in general, we want to be aiming for eating whole grains. And if you're not used to eating whole grain food, you should move into it a little gradually. They do taste a little different. They have a lot more fiber and more vitamins and minerals, and so it may take a little bit to adjust. But remember, you can change your palate by eating a little bit along. Eventually, after about 10 times of eating something, your palate will begin to change and you'll begin to like that food. So don't give up and don't be discouraged. Just continue to add in the whole grains a little more, and your taste will change and you'll be supporting your health with so much more. I want to explain a little bit about whole grain versus refined. I think it'll make sense to you. So I'm going to just draw this. Let's just say this represents a kernel of wheat. And this is the whole kernel of wheat. It means it has the bran on the outside. And then on the inside, this is like it's called the endosperm. And it has the carbohydrates. It gives us a lot of energy. And then on the inside of that, there's a little place called the germ. And in the germ is where a lot of the vitamins and minerals are. And this part is very, very important to us, as well as the outside part. When a grain is refined, the manufacturer removes the bran, the outside, and removes the germ. And what is left is just that endosperm on the inside. Now, because they've removed almost all of the vitamins and minerals from that grain, they add some, not all, some vitamins and minerals back to the grain. And if so, then it's called enriched. So if you're eating refined grains, look for the words enriched. At least you have some vitamins and minerals added back in, but again, not all of them. And one of the main things that they don't add back in is fiber. Although that's not a vitamin and mineral, it is a very important nutrient for us. There are 6 nutrients that we get from eating different foods from the food groups, and they are fiber and fats, vitamins and minerals, and proteins and carbohydrates. So here, we're getting a lot of fiber in the bran, which is very important. We're also getting some carbohydrates from the endosperm, which is important, and then we're getting vitamins and minerals from the little germ, and also some fat, which is a good fat because it's from the plant food. So look for refined if you're eating look for enriched if you're eating refined, and what is best is whole grain. Now, you don't be fooled by white bread versus brown bread. The color sometimes can fool you. You think, well, white bread is refined and brown bread is the whole wheat. That is not necessarily true. The only way you can tell is by reading the label. And you're looking for the word whole. This is the word that you want to see. You're looking for whole grains. Look for that word. Look for the word whole. If it doesn't say whole, it's not a whole grain. It has been refined. And the other thing that you're looking for is you want it to be the first ingredient on the list. Remember, ingredients are listed in accordance to the weight. So the very first ingredient is the most. And so you want that food to say whole wheat or whole corn or whole rye, whatever the grain is. You want that word whole and then the grain, and you want it the first ingredient on the ingredient list of the product that you're buying. If the third ingredient, for example, is salt, that second ingredient could be whole wheat, but salt, they probably wouldn't add more than a teaspoon to a loaf of bread. So they could just have 2 teaspoons of whole wheat in that whole product, and then the first ingredient could just be wheat flour. Don't be fooled by that. Wheat flour does not mean whole wheat flour. You want whole in that very first ingredient when you're looking for that. And then if all of the ingredients have the word whole of the grains listed, then you know that whole product is whole grain. Have to read the label. So when they remove the endosperm, when they remove the bran and the germ, they are removing a lot of the iron and vitamins and minerals. And it's the fiber of the grain that kind of sweeps us clean. It helps keeps us regular, and it also helps us to stay feeling full longer. So they'll actually be a little more satisfying if you eat the whole grain versus the refined grain. What are some common whole grain words that you might find on the ingredients listed on the package? I'm just going to read some off to you to kind of familiarize you with those. It will say whole wheat or whole grain. If it says buckwheat, it's the whole grain. Millet is the whole grain. Quinoa, brown rice, white rice is refined. Brown rice, popcorn is actually a whole grain, and rolled oats or oatmeal is the whole grain. Let's talk about popcorn for just a minute. So you might think, oh, popcorn's an awesome choice, and it is because it's a whole grain, but think about how it's prepared. Is there a lot of butter and salt with it? And if so, then it probably moves into not quite as healthy of a choice as if it's air popped. So if you're eating popcorn as one of the servings in the grain group, try to find air popped popcorn or have an air popper at home and use it. It's very easy to use, and you know you're getting that whole grain without any added fat or salt or sugar. You have to read the label. You really don't know what you're getting in a food until you read the label. Can't emphasize that enough. Read the label. Don't go by what the manufacturer prints on the package. Read the ingredients label and then read the nutrition facts panel if you need more clarification. So in general, we're looking for 4 to 6 servings from the grain group a day for women, and maybe 7 for men, a little more for men. You need to adjust that up or down depending on your lifestyle. So what would be considered one serving? So if you're going to eat a pancake, for example, that one pancake could be one serving if it's 4.5 inches. So here's a 4.5 inch pancake. And you can kind of see about how big that would be. This is just the lid of like a yogurt container or a cottage cheese container. And so that kind of gives you an idea of like you're making pancakes at home and you're trying to like kind of stay in one serving size. That's how big it is. Maybe you're going to serve biscuits and you're making biscuits. A 2.5 inch biscuit. Not very big. That's pretty little. So if you want 2 biscuits because they are so small, or you want to eat a bigger one, just count it as 2 servings and not 1. Again, you're going for 4 to 6 servings a day of grain foods. Or a tortilla, a 6-inch tortilla would be 1 serving. And I couldn't quite find, this is actually 6.5 inches, so this is just a little bit bigger, but it'll kind of give you an idea. A pie plate from your dishes set might be about 6 inches in diameter. That's about how big a tortilla would be for 1 serving. If it's a bigger one, again, then it would count for more than 1 serving. 1 slice of bread in general is considered 1 serving. Half of an English muffin is a serving. 1 cup of ready-to-eat breakfast cereal would be a serving, like Cheerios or Rice Krispies, something like that. If you're serving pasta, 1/2 cup cooked pasta is 1 serving. If you're buying the package and you're trying to figure out, well, how many servings would this be? 1 ounce dry. So a 10-ounce package of pasta would be 10 servings. Again, if it's cooked, it's just 1/2 cup. For rice, 1/2 cup of cooked rice. And here I have 1/2 cup. I thought you might like to see it. This is actually a combination of black rice and brown rice cooked. And this is 1/2 cup. And I want to show you to you on a plate. Kind of give you a visual idea of how much. So here's a plate, and here's 1/2 cup of rice onto that plate. We just kind of push it down a little bit. So there's a half a cup of rice. And do you remember in the other lesson we had 1 cup of carrots being 1 serving from the vegetable group? So I thought you might like to see a comparison of that. So here's 1 cup of carrots. Here's a half a cup of rice. I'm going to add the carrots. Okay, and yet you can kind of see. So this is about how much it would be for 1 cup of carrots and a half a cup of rice. And then if you wanted to add an apple, you could get your fruit group in there. See, you're starting to get up to the My Plate proportions. There's the fruit and the vegetable, and there's the grain, and then the next will be protein and no dairy yet, and we'll cover those in another lesson. Okay, I think that is all that we are going to cover in the grain group today. Again, I would encourage you to eat 100% whole grain food whenever possible. And thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or concerns or ideas or interests, please share them on Facebook. And until we meet again, happy, healthy eating to you and your loved ones.